This is breaking news, guys. I am not kidding. This just came out about 15-20 minutes ago. The Panther star, the truth has been leaked. Things are finally out in the open about what has happened with Matthew Tkachuk and his decision on whether or not to have surgery. We're going to get into that in just a second, guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I'm your host, Greg Andrews. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. You guys need to stay up to date with anything and everything that has to do with your back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers. Well, this is the late breaking news as it sits right now. That man, well, he did have surgery a few weeks ago. David Pagnotta of the fourth period confirmed that Matthew Tkachuk did have surgery a few weeks ago, will miss the start of the season. Timeline is not exactly clear on when he will return, but it's looking like sometime in January. Obviously not set in stone. Recovery times are different for every single human being on the face of the earth, especially in the NHL, but I'm going to assume that with the way Matthew Tkachuk's work ethic is, he will try to return earlier than that. But how bad was the damage? I don't know if, a doctor is going to come out and be truthful and they're going to want this really to be out in the spotlight and say, okay, well, this is how bad things were once we, were in there and we were looking around at the damage to that adductor muscle in his groin, to the sports hernias, all of those things. I don't think we're going to really know. I think it's going to be more of kind of hush hush. We're just going to stick to the timeline of like sometime around January. Again, professional athlete, great coaching staff, great training staff, great doctors, so on and so forth. I think he might be able to return earlier. So don't know if he's on LTIR right now. It has not come out into the open. I'm assuming he's going to have to be, obviously, if he's not going to be back until January. And there have been some changes to the roster. I'm not going to get into that here right this very second because that's going to be for another episode I'm going to be coming out with a little bit later, so I can tell you guys a little bit more on what has been happening with that roster spot that has opened up because there was a signing. So stay tuned for that episode a little bit later today. But the good news, bad news is Matthew Tkachuk did have surgery. He will not be back until January. We'll see how he returns, how he looks, all of that. A lot of questions to be asked of, can he return back to the form of the Matthew Tkachuk of old that we all know, that hard-nosed, grind it out, get in your face, scrappy dude who's that, like I keep saying, that game within the game that he loves to play? Will he return and still have that same spark to his team? Will he be as physical as he is? And, will he be able to get back on the ice as early as he wants and just pretty much pick up where he left off? But, like I said, the good news, that man isn't going anywhere, guys. Evan Rodrigues is going to be staying on this team. The roster is not going to be changing. If anything, like I said, there's a roster position that opened because of Matthew Tkachuk. So they did end up signing someone, but Evan Rodrigues is not going anywhere. Nobody on this team is going to be going anywhere as of this moment. But when Matthew Tkachuk returns, we're going to have to wait and see. So up until he does return and he is cleared by doctors, gets back on the ice, and is cleared for that first game, Evan Rodrigues is remaining a Florida Panther. I already know from doing research that they do not want to trade him. They don't want him to go anywhere. There have been other rumblings of rumors of things like trying to trade Nico Mikkola, which I think is insane. They're not going to trade him anywhere. He's too integral of a part for this team, and I think they can extend him at the end of the season. I think they will. There were also rumblings about Kulikov. I mean, I've already said this in past episodes, but those are some of the rumors that some of these writers are coming out with. Obviously, a lot of them based in Canada. They're saying that. I'm trying to remember. There was another person on the radar that they were saying could be traded. Oh, Eetu Luostarinen. No way. He's not going anywhere on that third line. He's so integral for the next, 2, 3, 4 years. He's not going to go anywhere. I've already talked about the team trying to extend him after next season. So they're going to keep the roster where it is. Don't fix what isn't broken. You've got a winning team. Nothing's going to change, except they're going to probably add someone, which they did. Who knows if they're going to add another person. Preseason is around the corner, so if you guys did go online to ESPN or NHL.com and check out the Panthers roster, you're going to see it is loaded with guys right now because they're going to try to check out all of the talent that they currently have in the preseason, see the guys that they're going to want to keep on their roster going into the start of the regular season. Are we going to see a little bit of shakeup? Who knows right now? I don't want to speculate on that because I just want to focus on Matthew Tkachuk and how it's affecting the roster as of right now, if anybody's going to leave, which no one is. So that is the good news, guys. So as we look at this, these are Evan Rodriguez's stats from last season, the regular season and postseason. We all know his numbers. Dropped off a bit in the regular season. Not a bit. I mean, the plus minus was not very good this season. Last year was great. I think the drop off was 28 points in total, but still makes a difference. He is still that integral piece that helped us win our second championship this past season. The 15 points that he had, yes, only 2 goals, but the assist factor, he's still able to really contribute to this team, even being in his 30s. You know, do I think that he could be one of those guys that will still be the first to be traded? I would think so, just because of the age factor compared to the other gentlemen I just named, the other players, and Mikkola Luostarinen and maybe Kulikov, but Kulikov's numbers aren't going to be enough for us to get under the salary cap. So could we possibly see a Kulikov and Evan Rodriguez, once Matthew Tkachuk comes back, be traded out? I don't know. Again, I don't want to speculate too much. There's a lot that needs to be, discussed at the front office level in terms of Bill Zito trying to think ahead now and say, okay, Matthew Tkachuk is now resting, going to be recovering, rehabbing for quite some time right now. When he is cleared, what are we going to do? I think he's going to get the wheels churning on this and start to say, okay, what are we going to be able to do with our roster? Who are we going to unfortunately have to ship out and trade away so we can free up some of this cap space and make sure that we are good to go heading into the playoffs, and make sure we're good to go once the trade deadline hits, because they need to be under the salary cap by that date, which is in March. So keep your eyes out for that. We will see what happens. But again, the roster shakeup has already started to happen a little bit. There was a signing, and I will talk about who that player is in about 2 or 3 hours from now, once this post has been out for a little bit, so you guys can know. Matthew Tkachuk did have surgery, and that was a few weeks ago. I'll go back to the image again. It's right here. A few weeks ago, had surgery. So I think, Matthew Tkachuk, when he made that comment about, I'm still 50-50, I'm not really sure, I would say it was probably within a matter of days that he made that comment, or maybe even a week or so, that he ended up having the surgery. I think they were just trying to keep this really under wraps. They didn't want it to get out until now. So I'm sure we'll get updates. I'm sure it's going to be leaked on ESPN and NHL.com and all over the place. It will get out there, but I hope you're hearing it here first, you guys. Please comment below. Tell me what you think about this. But before we go, I wanted to show you Matthew Tkachuk's stats, compare them to Evan Rodriguez, and I will compare his stats with the guy that they just signed in the next episode. So definitely stay tuned for that. Big time last season, still putting up 57 points in just 52 games, 156 shots. We all know his style of play, physical guy, incredible on the ice, very mental, cerebral player on both sides, in all aspects of the game. Just one of the best in the league. I don't care if you love him, you hate him, whatever. He is still one of the best players in the league. Overall, is he Connor McDavid? Is he a Pasternak? Is he one of those guys? I'm not going to put him up there in like the top 5 guys in the league. I would still say Barkov is above him. Yes, absolutely. But is he a difference maker on his team? Can he drive his players that are next to him, his teammates, to be better? Absolutely. That's why he's got that letter on his jersey, guys. Okay? But anyways, that is the news. I hope you got it here first, guys. So stay tuned for my next episode coming out in a couple of hours on who the new signing is. It's nothing that's huge and sexy or anything like that, but still, it is a big signing nonetheless, especially with the little cap space, well, pretty much none, that the team has. They can't really go out and sign a guy for $5 million a year, because that's going to put them almost $10 million over, which they're not going to want to do. They're not going to want to try to use up all of that cap room, that $9.5 million that Tkachuk allows them to actually have in space to work with him going on LTIR. So, yeah, here we are, guys. I'll be back in a few hours. And, just stay tuned. Another one's coming out. Go Cats.